Hello there, hello there, hello there, and welcome back to the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and this is episode number 805. That is Ocho Zero Cinco of the Agostino Zinga Show with your host, Agostino Zinga, and I hope you are doing good wherever you may be today. I hope you are doing swimmingly. How am I doing? You know how it is. Living the life of Lyerly, living a life of luxury, and having a grand old time while I enjoy myself. You know how it goes. So I want to let you guys know about a very embarrassing little dalliance I had in the gym the other day. I was bench pressing, I'ma say 60 pounds, something light, right? Something I could usually do for reps pretty easily with my eyes closed. And this particular time, I think I was really into the music I was listening to, or maybe my mind wandered, but I happened to drop the barbell on my face. Luckily, I kind of moved my face away from the barbell, so the barbell didn't actually hit my eye, but there was a possibility that I could have taken my whole eye out, or I could have ended up with a pretty deep and large black eye. Because when I was pressing quite easily a comfortable weight, when I went to rack the barbell on the bench press, I just kind of, my mind wandered, and I guess I let go of the bar, but it wasn't racked. And it just like one half of the bar was racked, the other end wasn't racked, and then it obviously slipped and nearly hit my eye, but I sort of like turned my head away. And it reminded me of Trump. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Trump when Trump was nearly got assassinated, and he basically dodged the assassination because he went to look at the statistics for like illegal migration or something on the screen, and he sort of like tilted his head, and the bullet missed his head by flipping millimeters. That's what it almost made me feel like. And it was really humbling because everybody in the gym heard the sound, they saw me kind of flinch and stuff, and I kind of got that really judgy look from people. I got that really silent, judgy look from people from afar, just looking at me thinking, rah, this guy's either really weak, he doesn't know what he's doing, he's an amateur, or he's just a fucking idiot. But no one came to help. I think that's actually the worst thing. I think it's way more embarrassing when you're in a gym and somebody tries to help you because it makes it look like you don't know what you're doing, and they're trying to help you out because you look clueless and you look helpless. So they're trying to make sure that, you don't injure yourself or something. But in this particular case, it was worse because nobody actually came up to me. Everyone just kind of left me, and I had to kind of get myself from underneath this like half racked barbell. I had to kind of like take the weights off of it to get it back on the rack itself. And then of course I did what every other red-blooded male would do. I gathered myself, went back underneath it, and then pressed it just to make the point that it wasn't the weights are too heavy. It's not that I couldn't lift it. It was just that my mind wandered. But obviously, if you were in there and you saw me, you wouldn't have known that. You would have just thought I was too weak to actually press 60 pounds on the bench press. So that was absolutely hilarious. But it's actually been quite nice to be in a newish type gym that has various bench presses, or that has various places where you can do bench presses. So there's like 2 or 3 dedicated bench press sort of like stations or work areas, but then there's other sort of like squat racks that you could obviously put a bench near and do a bench press there also. Because I remember the previous gym that I was going to, or the previous leisure center, one of the issues that I ran into and one of the reasons why I left that place is because it was the only gym that I went to where I legitimately would have beef with people. And I've never had even the slightest bit of a bad interaction, even with a staff member in a leisure center or a gym. But I would only have beef with people in this leisure center because of that fucking bench press. The bench press in the hood, or maybe in all gyms, is probably one of the most popular and in-demand machines or like things to use in the gym. Honestly, everybody uses a fucking bench press. It's so fucking crazy. So it's nice to go to a gym where you're not fighting to go on a bench press. Everyone that's on it isn't just sitting on the bench press like a park bench. They do their workout, they leave. You know what I mean? Like there's always a good like kind of like cycle of people coming in and out and using it. And if you can't use the dedicated bench presses, you could always, as big up flipping Chris Mack as mentioned in the stream chat, you could always go on a Smith machine and use that for bench press. You could always go on other racks. They've got other like squat racks you can use where you can kind of like hack it and sort of like make it work as a bench press as well. So there's loads of options you can kind of use, and that I think has really helped me with my workouts and kind of made me a little bit steady. So I'm not rushing, because sometimes I feel like I'll be going through my workout, rushing through it so that I can get to the bench press station before somebody else gets on it. And obviously, if you rush your workouts, you're not focusing, you're not, you know, doing things correctly and shit, it can kind of lead to injuries. And the worst thing is gym injuries, because they're usually self-inflicted. You get a gym injury from not really concentrating properly, not really focusing on your form properly, not really focusing on your breathing, and then now you're out for a considerable amount of time, and it's all your own fault. You know, you have no one to blame but yourself because you were, you know, just doing nonsense and being an absolute idiot. So I'm glad that's over. I'm absolutely glad that's over. Moving on and talking about things that I'm glad it's over, just a short one I wanted to mention regarding this. I'm not too sure you guys know about this, but allegedly, Kanye is addicted to nitrous oxide. Are you guys aware of this? It's news that's been spreading across the kind of like the Kanye fan page world. But allegedly, Kanye's new dentist, the guy that installed those really cool silver grills that he has now, he has these really cool silver denture things that kind of makes him look like one of the villains in James Bond. This guy here on the right-hand side, I think he also did a really cool GQ. I think he really did a cool GQ thing or something, because I think he's like a celebrity dentist that does grills and, you know, semi-permanent stuff and other things in people's teeth and shit. He's got like a long clientele of like celebrity clients. I remember seeing a video of his where he like talks about other stuff that he's done for people. He seems to know what he's doing. Anyway, long story short, this guy, according to Milo, who was a former chief of staff of Yeezy, has been the one that's got Kanye addicted to nitrous, because I guess in order to install that tooth thing that he's got in his mouth, they had to use nitrous. So now Kanye is addicted to nitrous, and he's allegedly spending 50k per month on nitrous. Now, the first thing to point out is Kanye spending 50k a month on nitrous oxide might be, in my opinion, might be the coolest thing he's done in a long fucking time. This might be the genuinely coolest thing he's ever done, is spend 50 grand a month of nitrous oxide. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool. But when you see the pictures of him on nitrous, someone leaked the pictures of him on it, he looks really messed up. He almost looks cracked out. He looks like sometimes how I look if I'm on like a 6-day bender, right? And I haven't slept. You know what I mean? I'm on some like comparator bender. Like, he looks pretty horrible. And he's got some like, he's got some sort of mouth thing that kind of looks like Bane across his nose and covering his mouth that's going straight into his nose. There's pictures that Milo has shared of like iMessages where the guy is like sending pictures of like complete canisters, like super huge scuba diving-esque canisters that he sends over to Kanye to use and shit. It's pretty fucking wild, right? Pretty wild. But it also makes me think, like, imagine what level of rich you have to be. Imagine how level of rich you have to be to get to a point where instead of just spending 50k on like coke and molly and ketamine and shit and heroin, you're so rich that you get bored of doing all those easy drugs and all those run-of-the-mill drugs. You're like, you know what? Let's spend 50 grand on nitrous. Because I look at nitrous oxide a little bit like, what's that fucking stuff that people like to smoke in like Arabic restaurants that Drake fucking likes? I look at it like that sort of stuff. Like, nitrous oxide is good here and there. Like, you might have the odd balloon. Like, after a club night, there'll usually be some guys in the street selling, I don't know, free balloons for like £10 or something. They might be good in a yes, it hookah or shisha, whatever. One of those two, right? Shisha, hookah, haka, shisha. I look at nitrous oxide like that. Maybe when you're having a meal with some friends somewhere, having a bit of shisha, having a bit of hookah, whatever, is fine. But would you buy one for yourself at home to just be chefing up, just be chiefing up every single night after work? Like mango, pineapple, coconut. It gets, I don't know, it makes you a bit dizzy. It tastes a little bit disgusting after a while. Same with nitrous. Like, maybe the odd balloon here and there is fun. Maybe. The odd fucking canister to the face might be a bit of a thrill. The odd night here and there. But every single day, to the point where you're spending 50 grand a month on it, I think that's a bit much. I don't think I could do it. So it makes me wonder, like, I wonder, maybe these people are just really bored. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just extreme boredom. Legitimately extreme boredom. And I think I read recently, actually, there was actually a clip of 50 Cent being interviewed, and they asked him when he's going to become a billionaire or something, right? And he was like, oh, I'm really in no rush to become a billionaire. I don't really care about billionaire status. I'm more in this game to do cool projects that I enjoy and to help people, blah, blah, blah. But he also mentioned this really good point that I'd really never thought about. Like, he also said, like, there's no rush because, you know, there's no real change, really, because it's not like if I get $1 billion, I'm gonna be able to buy stuff I can't buy now when I got millions. He's like, I bought every single car like 4 times over. Like, there's nothing I really want or need. So I wonder if that's the same with most rich people. You get to a point where like you spend all the money on all the things. You've done all the worldly, leisurely, materialistic things that you can do with the money. And now you're at a point where you're just looking for experiences. So if somebody can provide you with a nitrous high that's really going to blow your mind, and it's going to be something very different from what you usually do, then maybe 50 grand a month doesn't seem like too much. But 50K a month is like insane. Again, this is coming from somebody who lives in London, who lives in the UK, and we are known, we're like masters, we're fucking pros at nitrous. Most venues you go to, most club nights, most bars, there'll be somebody doing in a corner, or you'll see somebody with a balloon in their hand, or you'll see somebody with one of those big fucking canister things that they're fucking taking to the face. We know how to do balloons and nitrous really well in the UK. But even myself, being a rave head, going out a lot, I think it's really overrated. It honestly is. After the first couple of pools and shit, maybe the first couple of balloons, after that, it gets a bit nauseating. It's not really that fun. The high is very fleeting. It's just whatever, you know? I don't know. I don't really get it. And in this particular regard, when it comes to Kanye, I don't really care. I know it's sad to say, but he's my GOAT and I love him. But I've stopped caring. Clearly, he's somebody that needs help. Clearly, he's got the worst people ever around him. I've also noticed one thing as well, being a big Kanye fan and being a fucking sycophant and a stan and following everything about him and all the pages, all the forums and blah, blah, blah. One thing for sure, Kanye loves surrounding himself with people that rob him. I'm not too sure it's because he's lonely and just needs friends, but everyone that gets around him inevitably finds a way to fucking steal money from him. And it seems like, I'm just kind of speaking out my ass here, I get the feeling like Kanye even knows he's getting robbed, but he doesn't care because at least you're around him and he's not going to be alone, you know? It almost feels like that, like, I don't care you're robbing me, just don't do it too obvious and I'll keep you around because you're going to keep me company. I want people around me. I want to feel like I'm not by myself. You, my wife, my friend. I mean, like, it's pretty sad. And obviously this dentist guy is also been accused of taking advantage of Kanye monetarily. People are saying that he's been paying himself crazy amounts by being like Kanye's dental fucking advisor. He's been making a lot of money off the back of Ye. You'd imagine he probably makes additional business off the back of him also. It's a bit of a mess, but when it comes to Ye, I just refuse to care because he doesn't seem to care. He doesn't seem to want to get any help, you know? He doesn't seem to want to get any help himself. He clearly knows there's an issue, maybe himself, spiritually, whatever that's going on that's driving him to do so much nitrous, but he doesn't want to get help. He thinks getting help is like beneath him. People have to take advantage of him. I don't know what he thinks. Maybe he's afraid of maybe going to be put on medication that might new to him, that might like take away some of his creative flair. Whatever's going on there, I don't like it. But he's not making it easy on himself and he's not trying to help himself. So I don't really think it's fair to put this sort of information out there and make the fans feel bad for him or try to help him when he's not trying to help himself, you know? He's a grown-ass man, like a grown-ass man, probably approaching his 50s soon, with like a big-ass family and shit, and he's still going hard like this. It's absolutely wild. Let's actually read the article anyway. Courtesy of the source. It says as follows: Kanye West continues to make headlines with any good news, but this time his health could potentially be at risk. Candid text messages between West and his dentist that were unveiled by West's former chief of staff revealed that he claims the fashion mogul is addicted to nitrous gas could be valid. Milo Yiannopoulos told the world last week that Ye was facing an addiction issue and alleges that Ye's dentist, Thomas P. Connolly, is the primary one to blame. Yiannopoulos believes that Connolly is gassing West up to diminish Ye's mental faculties so that his business associate could extract millions of dollars from him. That's actually a really, really interesting way to scam somebody, you know? I've never thought about that, like the long scam, because the quick scam is to see an easy lick like Kanye, charge him a lot for the fucking install of his new grill, maybe charge him for some aftercare shit and then bounce. Like, and then, overcharge him for aftercare and then bounce. So you make a good lick. But maybe an actual real scammy way and a long-term way to guarantee good money for a long time is to charge him for whatever you're going to charge him for, but then also get him addicted to a drug, make him dependent on that drug, make it known that the drug can only come from you, especially in the quantity that you get it because you're a dentist, right? I'm just imagining aloud here. He's a dentist, so most likely he might have access to certain amounts of gas canisters that regular people can't get. Because he's a dentist and he actually has an actual dentist practice. Maybe he's able to get certain amounts that regular people can't get. So you say only you can get that for him at like maybe cost price or something. So now he's not only dependent on the drug, he's also dependent on it through you only. That's actually a cleverer way to scam somebody and just hitting them with an overcharge in the beginning and trying to fleece them that way. This way you have them by your side, as Chris Mack said, same with cocaine as well, exactly. As like you have them by the balls for a very, very long time. That's actually maybe a smarter way to go about things. And with someone like Ye, who's already kind of seems like a bit of a codependent anyway, he's probably the perfect mark for something like this. It's pretty sad, but that's probably what's happening here. A group text between Yiannopoulos, West and Connolly became public this week, and the correspondence was strictly about nitrous oxide, aka laughing gas, which Connolly going as far as saying that he potentially hazardous could be legalized. Yeah, if they legalize nitrous oxide, bodies will drop. This needs to be a long-term goal, the dentist writes. Get recreational nitrous oxide legalized. It was West's reaction to Kanye's statement, which has his fans and critics alike discussing the likelihood of addiction. Tom, Kanye writes, you said you did bring them today. Checking in. Yeah, he really wants the nitrous. Yiannopoulos says that he confronted Connolly about the installation of the nitrous tanks in West's LA home and said that the dentist claims that the tanks were empty. Connolly continues to say that there was no wrongdoing in supplying West with nitrous oxide and claims that Yiannopoulos' allegations are not only factually incorrect, but also intentionally misleading. So, you know, Kanye is addicted to nitrous oxide. He allegedly spends $50K per month on it. I'm sad for him, but I'm not going to cry for him because he doesn't want to help himself and get away from some of these murderous leeches who are trying to take everything away from him. He doesn't want to seek any professional help also. So I guess it kind of has to play out the kind of way it has to play out. But I could never imagine spending that much money on nitrous oxide. I've done a few balloons before. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's a good time. But it isn't really worth 50K. I don't care. No one could tell me that nitrous oxide is worth 50K. It really isn't that deep. But I could be wrong. Talking about things that are deep. We have to give a big congratulations and a big shout out to fucking Tyler, the Creator. Tyler, the Creator fucking achieved the unthinkable, and he completed a full circle moment, going from being an avid Supreme fanboy and, you know, just whatever, like we all were in the beginning, to now having his own photo tee with Supreme. Imagine that. Imagine going from queuing outside of a Supreme store for a box logo, for a camp cat, for a sneaker collaboration, just to check out what the new bits were on the inside, and then to get to a point where now you're finally at the end. You're now long, you know, some years ahead. You are now being featured on a Supreme photo tee for the up and coming season. This is an amazing look, and as you can see here, courtesy of Drops GG, some posters went up all across London that featured the pictures that will be depicted on the Supreme photo tee, which is going to coming out very soon. Every season Supreme has these photo tees, usually with really iconic cultural figures, bar students. You know, it could be like a boxer like Mike Tyson, it could be Kate Moss on a t-shirt. Like loads of really interesting cool people are featured on Supreme photo tees over the years, and they're usually kind of like extended friends and family, inspirations to the brand, blah 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 blah. So for Tyler, the Creator, to get this honor is pretty sick, especially considering how young he is in his career. He might be, I'm not too sure if I'm thinking about it aloud, maybe Kermit the Frog is maybe younger, but I think Tyler might be the youngest person in Supreme history to be featured on photo tee. It's usually something that gets reserved for people that are like long in the game, have been around for a while, have made a real big cultural impact and shit. But to do it so young, or to do it so early in his career, and you know, if you know Tyler, the Creator, you know how talented he is as a musician, you know that he's only got way more exploring and experimenting to do later on in his years when it comes to music, you'd think he's going to become a much better artist than he is nowadays, right? More well-rounded, super eclectic, and all over the place and shit. So for him to get it now is super impressive, because you know in a few years' time he's going to be an even better artist than he is now. But this is more so, I think, an acknowledgement on just the amount of the role that he played in his own way, him along with Odd Future, Golf Wang, all that sort of era, those kind of LA kids, the role that they played in really popularizing Supreme to the general public. Now, I was lucky enough, I was fortunate enough that I was wearing Supreme way before Tyler, Creator, and all those guys came about and popped on the mainstream. So I was kind of fortunate to kind of be around when it was kind of, I won't say popping off, but, you know, kind of in its infancy. But I did recognize, even when I was buying Supreme really earlier on, that when Tyler and his crew got onto Supreme and started wearing it way more often, and the funny thing is, if you remember early on, they were all kind of like dirty streetwear, skateboardy kids that couldn't really afford much. But then you could see as they sort of kind of grew as a collective, as they were growing as individuals, as artists, and they were making more money, they started to like improve what they were buying in terms of Supreme. You could see they were getting like sent certain things. And obviously throughout that time, the popularity of Supreme across the board in the general public blew up. And I think, honestly, they might have been single-handedly the reason why a lot of kids now are into streetwear, a lot of kids now are into sneakers, a lot of kids are maybe reselling, a lot of kids have maybe opened their own fucking archive stores and shit, set up mood board pages on Instagram and stuff. They might be responsible for a whole generation of people who got involved in the creative world, in the fashion world, photography, design, everything else in between. Because I felt like a lot of kids weren't really tapped into that. Because one thing you kind of give Tyler credit for, he was always very steadfast and very sort of like forthright about pushing the need for his fans to be like tactile learners and to kind of have hobbies, learn an instrument, draw, take pictures, go and have picnics, paint, all this sort of shit. So couple that with wearing Supreme, I'd imagine a lot of kids got their introduction to like writing poetry, got the introduction to like doing art, making fucking, you know, pottery, whatever it may be, through Tyler. And they found out about a brand like Supreme through Tyler and through his Odd Future collective of people as well. So this must be an incredible moment for him personally because of that journey. And also I think it's really cool too, because it kind of shows where he's at as well, fashion wise, design wise, because now he's got to a point where I feel like Golf Le Fleur is like, it's kind of heading into the fashion world. I think it would call it, it's a bit of a disservice to call Golf Le Fleur streetwear, or to even call it, you know, menswear, or even to call it cut and sew. It's definitely heading to like a fashion kind of sense. The sensibilities behind it, the taste level behind it, the finish, the consideration. Like you think of the little capsule collection that Tyler did with Louis Vuitton. That shit was special. I would go as far as saying that Tyler, the Creator's capsule collection with Louis Vuitton under Pharrell Williams might have been the best thing that's happened there post Virgil. Maybe Pharrell's first collection with Louis Vuitton was pretty decent. After that, it's been a little bit lackluster. But I think Tyler showed that he has the potential to do something at that level. Now, maybe it's a bit too much for him to go and take over a house like, you know, Louis Vuitton and whatever it may be. But maybe there's a scenario, thinking about it now in this photo, T, maybe there's a scenario where Tyler, the Creator, gets hired as a creative director of Supreme. I would love if that happened. Imagine if we live in a scenario where now in a post-Tremaine Emory world, after that whole thing went tits up, imagine Supreme are like, you know what? We actually might want you as our creative director. That might be a really good thing, because he would obviously get the opportunity to work with Supreme and learn on the job and obviously improve his skills. Supreme gets the opportunity to tap into somebody who's young and of the culture and can talk to the you know, this potential customer base they're trying to reach, can maybe reinvigorate and kind of recharge the brand, present some new fresh ideas, new approaches, blah 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 blah. Right? Imagine if Supreme start like doing stuff they used to do in the past, where maybe you could go and watch like particular skate videos when they drop, and maybe on a particular day when it drops, they do like, I don't know, Q&As, meet and greet sessions. They do screenings of skate videos in the Supreme stores. You can go and watch. It turns into a community event again, trying to take the Supreme customers away from just always being online and maybe turning it into an IRL thing, maybe getting kids back into skateboarding overall again. Like loads of things can happen off the back of it. I could definitely see it. That could definitely be a thing. But regardless, it's a sick full circle moment. If anything, to be a little bit critical, to be a little bit critical about this, there's a part of me that feels like this should have happened a bit sooner. Maybe it's a little bit late. Not really late because God's timing's God's timing, but I feel like this should have happened around the same time the NBA YoungBoy got his photo tee. Yeah? Because I still don't understand why that happened, by the way, because that seems a little bit odd. But I feel like Tyler, the Creator, should have been acknowledged for his contribution to the success of modern day quote unquote Supreme way earlier, right? But maybe that time wasn't the right time, but now because, you know, he's a bit more of a well-rounded overall creative force, maybe people wouldn't really bark at it. But I think he should have been acknowledged way sooner than this. That would have been great to see. But regardless, the photo tee fucking looks incredible. They also, I guess, will be having this green box logo available for sale, which is a really cool addition. I think this might be the first time they've done a box logo in this color. I'm pretty sure this might be the first time they've ever done it. And if you know anything about Tyler, you know his obsession with the color green. Kelly Green used to always fucking wear it in terms of hats and stuff. He's fucking obsessed with it as well. So this is pretty cool to see. He's going to be chuffed on that. If anything, I'd say the only improvement I'd make on it, I might have preferred it if his photo tee or his design of the box logo was like in the style of his illustrations. You know, sometimes he shares like pictures from his sketchbook of like early ideas and kind of sketches of things he's working on in terms of his clothing and maybe stage shows and merch designs and shit. I think it would have been cool if the box logo design was done in the style that he kind of draws and writes in. That would have been pretty sick. But regardless, really cool fucking photo tee. He's probably got a bunch of golf stuff he's wearing too, like the scarf and whatever else it may be. I really fucking love it. And I can't wait to see when this drops. And I'm assuming we'll probably get a lot of like cool media around it too on the Supreme Archive page as well. We'll probably get a lot of cool little media on it. Maybe a cool little kind of talking head thing of him talking about his start with Supreme and how he first bought his first things with them, and maybe having to swap things, because back in the day that was a big thing. I'm not sure if it's a big thing now anymore, but back in the day when Supreme wasn't as popular and you really needed certain things, sometimes people would just swap things. Like you'd swap maybe 2 hoodies for a jacket, you swap maybe a really limited edition hat for something else. Like there was a lot of that kind of bartering thing. I remember a really funny, iconic story back in the day that Aaron Bondaroff, the former founder of a New York thing and former member of like the Supreme crew and shit. I remember he said once where he went to like Netherlands for some patter event or something and he got stranded out there. I think he got lost after a night of partying and he didn't know how to get back to his hotel, and he happened to bump into some like streetwear kid in the street, and he ended up selling, I think, either the hat he was wearing that was for Supreme or a jacket or something for a number of euros that he then used to fucking go home. Like legitimately, like without Supreme, without the clothes on his back, he wouldn't have been able to go back to his hotel room because he's in a foreign country, didn't know where he was. So, you know, Supreme has had played a large role in a lot of our lives and a lot of our kind of education on streetwear and shit. So he must be super chuffed about this. So it's amazing to see, really happy for him. And I'm sure we're going to see some cool stuff going forward. And like I said, I would actually love it. I would actually love it if we ended up seeing Tyler, the Creator, take over as a Supreme Creative Director, even if it's for like a short period of time and shit. I think that would be a pretty cool thing to kind of watch from afar, because I'd be really interested to see what type of offerings he puts out under Supreme and shit. And I'd also be interested to see how some of the learnings that he takes from working at Supreme would kind of feed into his own brand. I'd love to see it. But either way, the fucking photo tee is fucking amazing. Can't wait to see it when it drops. And of course, I'll be trying to purchase it. It'll be really hard because I'd imagine a lot of the kids are going to be fucking going crazy for this. Like literally, Tyler is like a lot of kids like Jay-Z, Pharrell, Nigo, all wrapped into one. He's a fucking force to be reckoned with. So the kids are going to be going crazy for it as well. So for sure, it's going to be one of the most hyped tees in a long time to come out, especially when it comes to the photo tees. I think maybe the last photo tee that did those sort of numbers, I can't remember, one that really kind of shook the table and made people go crazy. I can't remember which one was actually the one. Maybe Kermit the Frog. That might be one that people were going super crazy for. Maybe again the Kate Moss. I'm not too sure. But either way, I think the Tyler the Creator one will really go off and people will go fucking crazy for it when it does eventually drop. Big up Tyler the Creator. Moving on and talking about more streetwear stuff, let's talk about Stüssy. Let's talk about one of my favorite brands, Stüssy. I've always said, and I maintain on this particular podcast, I think if you're a kid out there and you're obsessed with streetwear just as much as I am, and you feel like sometimes you miss out on a lot of the Supreme drops and some of the other things and bobs that you want to purchase out there, I think a really underrated and sometimes overlooked brand that you should always go to if you're looking for something that maybe isn't as bait as Supreme, but is maybe a little bit more easier to get, but also isn't as like super readily available everywhere. I think the perfect balance is Stüssy. I think the perfect fucking balance is Stüssy. Stüssy provides the perfect balance of being able to buy it relatively easy, knowing that not every Tom, Dick and Harry is going to have it, and also having it be a little bit cool. It's honestly sick. Like this new era of Stüssy in the last few years, the new direction they've been under, the consistency of the offerings they've been putting out has been nothing short of marvelous, and they continue once again with full 2024 collection. There's a few bits and pieces on this collection that I want to highlight and talk about, namely this jacket here, which is the first slide courtesy of Hypebeast. It's a navy jacket that's kind of like got like a distressed look to it. I'd maybe call it a flight jacket without the hood, but what I really do love about it are these super exaggerated, almost obscene pockets on the front. They look like they should be pockets for, they should actually be like hand pockets that go towards the bottom, but they're just been like blown up to cover the majority of the fucking front of the jacket. So I really fucking love that look, and it kind of gives it like a utilitarian kind of feel. So I'm a really big fan of that as well. Obviously the big old jeans everyone's wearing now, I'm not really too fond of them, but I think as a styling thing, it kind of works. I'm kind of over this whole like obsession with everybody wearing big jeans and jorts and shit. It's just a bit ugly. I'd probably just wear regular jeans. I'm not gonna wear that super baggy unnecessary jeans with that one. There's a nice track jacket here, or shell jacket, that I kind of like. In slide 3, the thing I like the best here are these pants. I'm not too sure what the finish is on the actual pant. I'm not sure if that's like meant to echo some of the flakiness and the, what you call it, the scratches on the wall. Maybe that's what they've kind of replicated on the pants. I don't know. Maybe it's a different distressed sort of leather effect. I don't know. Whatever the effect is, I fucking love it. They look fucking cool there. So I really am a big fan of those pants. There's a really nice Stüssy knit with the tonal Stüssy embroidery here on the front, or tonal Stüssy logo print here on the front, which I'm not a fan of, which I actually love. There's also a pair of black shorts with a nice Stüssy hit there on the right, which I'm not too mad at. This is one of my favorite jackets, one of my favorite looks here. This is slide 5. You have this really fucking cool grid see-through jacket, see-through shell jacket. I'm not too sure if it's waterproof, water resistant, not really too sure. It kind of gives me like a packable feel. I feel like there's probably like a pocket on the inside where you can kind of fold it into itself and kind of carry it around your waist and shit, or put it in your bag. But I love the fact that it's got this, like, I think what it looks like a 3M Stüssy script logo on the back. I think it's 3M, I think so. And maybe the lines actually on the top is actually 3M too. But what I love most about it is the translucent, transparent effect of the material. So that if you're wearing a different pattern or a different shirt, color, whatever underneath, you get the addition of the cool colorway on the top that kind of goes through. But you also get your, whatever top you're wearing underneath kind of peeks through as well, and kind of gives it this nice little tone when you're wearing it. So I love that. I also love these cargo pants that they've made, Stüssy. These black cargo pants he's wearing. They kind of look distressed, but I love the baggy look about them, because a lot of the cargo pants I have nowadays, well, I think cargo pants in general, I think that's how they're basically styled, or how they're meant to be made. A lot of cargo pants will have a lot of bagginess around the thigh and the leg area, but when it comes to the waist, they're incredibly cinched and sometimes high-waisted. So I would love to see a lot more people or brands just make cargo pants that are just like regular trousers and kind of just are a bit wide at the top as well, to kind of give it a nice bellowing look overall, and not have this kind of cinched sort of like carrot top sort of like look to it. So I do like that they've done that with these particular ones here, and this particular one is done like this black distress sort of colorway, which I really am a big fan of. I really love those. I'm not really big on the jorts. I hate fucking jorts. I think shorts should come above your knees. I'm fed up with the baggy jorts look, but I do love the sunglasses here. I think Stüssy have done a really good job with their sunglass offerings over the last few years as well, so I'm not mad at that. The knitwear here, I'm not really too fussed on. The jean suit, I'm not really too fussed on. I love the leather, the green, that green washed out avocado-ish type leather thing going on here. That's pretty nice as well. This shirt, I'm not too sure what the pattern is, but this shirt is really fucking cool. It's a button-up shirt, a pinstripe button-up shirt, and what it looks like to me, maybe it's just my eyes, but this pinstripe button-up shirt has like bleach blotches, I think. That's what basically it's got. It looks like it's been either exposed to light or it's got bleach blotches around it, so it's kind of got this effect of like a cow print thing all over it, which I really fucking love. So I'm not too mad at that. And also the cut of the shirt is really nice as well. It's a nice and baggy shirt to wear. There's also a nice leather shorts here again, which I'm not a fan of, but I do like this mohair fluffy zip hoodie that they've got here in, what's that, slide 11. And of course the glasses here look really cool. The hooded jacket there looks not too bad. Also the trucker hat, I'm not too mad at as well. That trucker hat looks really fucking cool. I'd wear the fuck out of that also. And one of my favorite pieces is this. It's like it's a racing jacket essentially, but instead of the conventional racing jacket, which is just a regular black leather jacket, you've got it in this lovely washed out, I don't know what you call it, avocado green type of colorway. I guess it's meant to be lime green, but it's a little bit more lighter in terms of a color, not as much pop. And I would actually purchase this over the black one. I'm sure the black one looks amazing, but I think you're more likely to find another version of this particular jacket in black from loads of other designers, but you're not likely to find this jacket style in this particular color. This is a very unique color and definitely stands out and definitely is a highlight piece for this season. I fucking love the look of that. Really do love the look of that. That might be one of the best pieces so far in the collection. And also the first jacket that I mentioned in navy also comes in this nice khaki colorway that kind of reminds me of a Stüssy jacket or a CP company jacket. I love that it's got this nice distressed look about it, the exaggerated pockets. I also love the detail here. So they've got these really big pockets that are just exaggerated and kind of oversized. But then you also have the addition of pockets on the slits on the side. So you get a chance to kind of put your hands in the pockets there and keep your hands warm if need be. Or you also get the functionality of having the big flap here to stick other things inside. So it's quite nice because I don't know about you, but sometimes, you know, I love carrying my backpack and carrying my fucking messenger bags and my waist bags and my fucking tote bags and my handbags and shit. But sometimes it's nice if you have a jacket that just has like an obscenely big pocket. It can just allow you to just put all your shit in there. Like my camera, my lip balm, my gun, my knife, everything can kind of go in that one pocket. So you have to carry an extra bag. So I think this sort of like crazy pocket design sort of works for someone like me that's on the go and carrying a million things on me at one time. So I'm not mad at that as well. And I'm in love with this logo. This classic fucking artwork on the back of this knitwear where it features the old school Stüssy design of the like 4 illustrations with the surfboards. Ooh, so hard. That is such a good logo. Now I'm not too sure if this is a cardigan or if it's a sweat or if it's a knitwear jumper or something, but whatever it is, this is fucking hard. Like, can you imagine that on the back of a varsity jacket? Can you imagine this particular design with this particular design, that font at the back of a varsity jacket? Just give me an all black varsity jacket with this particular thing, this particular applique on the back. Woohoo! I'm wearing the fucking fuck out of that one. And then another really big standout piece in the fall winter 2024 collection is this buttery leather trench coat. Look at that. Look at how sublime that looks. That's probably going to be bucks. Probably going to be like $500 plus, maybe $700 plus, but it looks so fucking nice. And I love that it buttons up all the way onto the top, so you don't need to have the annoying sort of like lapels hanging on the side. If you want to just button it up and kind of look like Undertaker, you can. It's fucking gorgeous. Nice jacket. The only miss I don't like about it, it doesn't have raglan sleeves. It has this regular sleeve design. I feel like sometimes with trench coats, having a raglan sleeve design can like sometimes ease the shoulder and kind of make it a bit sloped and not make it look a little bit so super, you know, federal and shit. But sometimes I guess if you want a trench coat, you kind of want it to have presence. You kind of want it to look federal. You kind of want your chest, your shoulders to pop out. But I sort of like my trench coats with a raglan sleeve preferably, but still I don't mind that. This plaid shirt is super hard as well. I'm not mad at that either. I'm not sure if it's quilted. No, oh no, nice. It's a plaid shirt with snap buttons. That's a really nice. That could be easily used as an overshirt or as a shirt by itself. I'm not mad at that at all. Again, you got a really nice long sleeve there in that kind of digi desert camo effect design, and then you've also got the racing jacket I said earlier that comes in green and black. That is really fucking nice. I also like the belt as well. That belt is really nice. I'm sure that's part of the offering too. But that jacket is so fucking beautiful in black. I prefer it personally in green. I think the green will pop way more, but that black isn't too shabby. You've also got a denim jacket, and of course you've got another plaid version there as well happening very, very soon. Oh, and the glasses look really cool as well. So big up Stüssy. I think this is dropping this week, I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, Stüssy fall winter collection will be available to purchase on August the 16th. So tomorrow will be available across the UK and of course Europe, America, blah, 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 blah. Check out Stüssy. You know where to find them for all of your Stüssy needs. But Stüssy are coming hard for their fall 2024 collection. I cannot wait. Moving on, let's talk about the crazy, ridiculous comments that Tremaine Emory made when he was sitting down for some roundtable discussion with Bloody Osiris, Kerwin Frost, and AP Nast when they asked him about why he doesn't wear his own brand. And he gave one of the most batshit dumb answers I've ever heard in my entire life. This is Tremaine Emory talking about why he doesn't wear Denim Tears himself.
You wear your own stuff?
Yeah, I never see you wear your own stuff.
See,
why?
I think that's the difference between us. Like,
yeah.
I wear all my shit.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
It's like, I don't know if George Lucas plays with Star Wars toys. He
What? What kind of horrible shit comparison is that? And why is Kerwin Frost like he said something super insightful, super intelligent? He wasn't spitting. What he said was fucking idiotic. George Lucas doesn't play with Star Wars toys. What does that have to do with Star Wars offering? What does that have to do? What does that have to do with the quality of the Star Wars movies? What does that have to do with him enjoying the movies? And of course, it's a terrible comparison because, you know, George Lucas is a very well-known nerd, a very well-known geek. He probably has like garages full, maybe warehouse units full of memorabilia and toys and all sorts of malarkey because he fucking created that entire Star Wars universe. Same thing with someone like George R.R. Martin and shit when it comes to Game of Thrones or whatever it may be. So it's a pretty idiotic thing to say. And I just love how Kerwin sort of like echoed it, like as if he says something really crazy and amazing. Yeah, you're really spitting, man. George Lucas doesn't even play with Star Wars. So how can you, it's like, are you aware that George Lucas also doesn't write most of the movies that are out now that are in the Star Wars universe? Are you aware of that? Like what kind of terrible point that was that to make? Let's continue.
invented the characters, wrote the story, created the world, makes it. So for me, Denim Tears is a film. For me, it's a story.
Honestly, I've only met Tremaine maybe like a couple of times in my life. He knows a lot more of my other quote unquote scene friends. I don't really know him personally myself too much, but he always did strike me as a kind of very kind of reasonable, level-headed and somewhat intelligent dude. I don't know what's happened to him in the last few years. Maybe it's the Supreme stuff. Maybe it's because I've seen the way he's acted with the Supreme stuff. So maybe I'm looking at him with a different lens. Maybe it's because I've grown up a little bit and matured and you're starting to realize the people that you maybe quote unquote looked up to aren't as smart as you thought they were, are maybe fallible just as you are, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe these people were always redacts, but now that they're speaking a lot more, you get to hear some of the things that they have to say and you're like, oh shit, you're an absolute redact, isn't it? You're a legitimate redact. But with Tremaine, it's even weirder because he seems to be kind of somebody that seems to be really curious about the world around him. He tends to kind of think deeply about a lot of things going on around him, about his position, about his place in the world, about what he has to do during his time on this earth and how the brand is going to contribute to that, his voice, his friends, his family, the books he reads. He seems to be somebody that, you know, you would consider to be somewhat intelligent. And then he just sits there and just talks and you're like, bro, why do you sound dumb, but you come across smart on social media? Are you like LARPing as like an intelligent, like cultured person? Is that what you're doing? Are you LARPing? But actually when it comes down to it, when you're asked to sort of explain your methodology, when you're asked to explain your outlook, when you're asked to explain or rationalize your approach to certain things, you don't really have anything to say because you don't really think about what you do. You just do what you do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but there isn't a lot of thought that goes into what you're doing it. Maybe that's the case, maybe. But I think how he's explaining it is absolutely redacted. There is a way to explain it though. There is a way to explain why you wouldn't wear your own clothes because you don't need to. I think you should personally, especially in streetwear. I think we all get into streetwear. Personally for me, I feel like you get into streetwear to start your own brand because you feel like something's missing. Either you feel like your voice is missing or you feel like there's something missing in that space and you want to fill that void. So usually the thing that you want to fill the void of are the things that you would want to wear yourself. So then you become the best ambassador possible for your own brand because you think, hey, I have really good taste level. I think I'm a cool person, right? And then you hope by wearing and championing your own brand and filling this void, maybe you think there's not enough good brands that have great cargo pants. Maybe you think the size of the hats nowadays are too small and they don't accommodate for people that have big heads. Maybe you're really picky and finicky about the particular shape of a bomber jacket or something. you make that, and then as you're making it, you're wearing it, testing it out and seeing how it works and shit, and you're also promoting it and kind of being the ambassador for your brand, and people are seeing it and thinking you're cool, wanting to wear it, and then of course that then starts the cycle of your brand kind of picking up. But it's a standard. I think it might change, or it might be a bit different when it's fashion. I think fashion, because the maybe the themes and the inspiration and the world building around it can be a very complex and very in-depth. Maybe there's a utility, and maybe there's a utility to being a fashion designer and having a uniform. Like, you just wear navy, you just wear white, you just wear all black, but it's not a brand, it's not anything crazy, it's just you wearing a fucking plain tee, jeans and black trainers. Maybe there's a utility to that, because then you can pour all your creativity into creating this immersive world around your fashion collection and creating an immersive fucking fashion show experience, thinking about the music, thinking about the smell, the seating arrangements, the colors used, the fonts, the applique, the finishes, the trim, the accessory, all these sort of things. It's probably beneficial for your fashion designer to probably not be too much into your personal, because there's probably a correlation between the designers who have like crazy and really cool personal style, but then also have shitty fashion, because they probably spend way too much time caring about their own personal style as opposed to pouring into the brand. There are some that exist. The first person that comes to mind is Marc Jacobs. He has great personal style, but he also has, he's also a genius when it comes to fashion, so you can't really begrudge him for that. But then I think of somebody like J.W. Anderson. J.W. Anderson dresses in a pretty normal, plain way, but then his collections for his namesake brand and for Loewe are really out of this world, right? They're very, very, I won't even say eccentric. They're very kind of just out of the box, right? And very unconventional, very creative, very imaginative. But the way he dresses doesn't really reflect that. And I don't really think he actually even wears his own. I've never actually seen him wear those, like, those Loewe loafers, those mules with the really massive gold link chain at the front. I've never seen him wear them, but he designed them, I'm assuming, and they look fucking fantastic. I've never seen him wear those Loewe trousers with the really big turn up at the bottom with the cuffs and shit, but he designed them and they look fucking fantastic. So you don't need to wear your thing to promote your brand, but I think when you're creating like sweatshirts and t-shirts and shit, wear your brand, promote it. The fact that you're not wearing it makes me think that you know it's lame. It's lame type of thing. It's kind of played out. That's why you don't want to wear it, because it's not like he only makes cotton reef sweats and shit. He's also done like proper, what you deem to be like cut and sew type of stuff, where he's done like, leather trousers, mesh shirts and stuff with Our Legacy, button ups, all this sort of stuff. And he never wears it. It's like, bro, why wouldn't you want to wear your stuff and promote it and make it look cool and shit? It's a weird thing. I don't understand it, but he can explain it, but he's not explaining it well.
Story. Yeah. And I'm telling it, and then I think I'm on to the next film. And I get my greatest joy from seeing people wear it. Like,
exactly.
Like, exactly. When I see kids wearing my stuff or my friends wearing it, that's watching you on the roller coaster.
But you could have it both ways. You could wear it yourself, and you could see your people that you love wearing it, and see fans wearing it, and it could still hit the same way. I don't see anything wrong with that. Like, it must be super cool to be walking down the street with your own garms and have somebody, tap you on the shoulder and say, "Oh my God, where did you get that jacket from?" And you could be like, "Yeah, it's something that I made." Pass them your card, show them your Instagram page, blah, 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 blah. That's pretty cool to do that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. But obviously, the actual real answer is probably that, most likely if you're designing clothes and you're designing like, I don't know, 2 seasons ahead, maybe you're going to get bored of the stuff you're making and you don't really want to wear it now because you're kind of over it because you're thinking about other ideas. That's possible as well. You just don't want to wear it. But Tremaine likes to wear stuff. He's always posting his fits, or he's always maybe pictured wearing cool things. It's not like he's not into like stepping out and stunting and putting a good fit on. So it's just like, why wouldn't you want, if you care about the clothes you wear and you like presenting yourself in a certain way, why wouldn't you want to have your own clothes on when you're doing that? So you can maybe promote your brand and, at the same time that you're getting papped down the street for like a street style picture. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
It is like, when you work on something for so long and you see it for so long and like, just down to every little stitching and little detail, like you've seen this thing for such a long time. And I'm the biggest fan of it before it comes out.
Same.
But once it comes out and then everyone got it, I'm over it.
I agree with that, but I still think if you're a real clothes person, if you're really about this fashion shit, if you're really about this streetwear shit, clothes will always excite you. It doesn't matter how long you've been mulling over the design of a hat or a pair of gloves or a long sleeve t-shirt. Like, it's always going to excite you. You're going to be dreaming about, you know, what type of stitching you're going to be using. You're going to be dreaming about what sort of zip you're going to use. You're going to be dreaming about the packaging and shit. That won't stop you from dreaming about it. It won't stop you from thinking about it. It won't stop you from wearing it. So I just think a lot of these guys maybe are just getting to that stage in their careers or in their lives where they're becoming a little bit disillusioned to the scene, maybe becoming a little bit cynical, maybe becoming a little bit numb to the excitement that they once had. Because I'm sorry, if you're designing a little capsule collection for fucking Dover Street Market, nothing is not gonna make you be excited about that. You know what I mean? Even if you're designing it 2 or 3 years in advance, the fact that you get to wear something that you know is not going to come out for another 2 or 3 years is exciting in itself. The fact that you have to maybe keep the news to yourself and not tell anybody about it until it gets officially announced is exciting and something to, you know, worth getting up for and being excited for in the first place. So I don't think what they're saying here is necessarily true. I think this is maybe more of a symptom of maybe being in the scene for a long time and kind of feeling a little bit over everything.
I'm like, okay, what's the next thing?
But yeah, but there's also, I've seen, big up the guy from Cortez, the founder of Cortez made a point on social media the other day where he basically said that maybe the reason why why it's okay for Tremaine not to wear his own things, Denim Tears, is because Denim Tears is overtly a political, societal sort of like brand. That's what it's about in terms of like, you know, what you call it? You know, I forgot what the tagline is, something about the black diaspora and shit, whatever it may be, right? So maybe that's why wearing it doesn't really make sense, because it's more so a vessel for sort of like political messaging and societal change and whatever it may be. I don't care. I don't think that's true personally. I just think deep down, like, he thinks it's a bit played out and he feels maybe a little bit cringy wearing his own shit, which is really wild because it's also a bit of a talent in itself to be able to design cringy things that you yourself would not necessarily wear, but then to push it to other people to wear, you know, and to sell it for an exorbitant amount as well. It's pretty wild. But I think this maybe kind of goes to the whole approach of like not being your own biggest fan as well, and kind of having this weird relationship around like fandom, because it makes me remember the times when Virgil was around. I always used to wonder, like, for all of the people that were around Virgil, and Virgil always surrounded himself with loads of really cool, you know, influential kind of people who kind of contributed a lot to the culture and did really cool things in their own regard. But all of those people he surrounded himself with, I think with the exception of maybe like Lucas Sabat, I don't think there's many people in that group that really wore anything that Virgil made, from Off-White to Louis Vuitton. But they were all like leeching next to him. They were all fucking trying to stand next to him in pictures. They were all there in parties together. But you didn't see many of these guys supporting the things that he did. Even if it came to like a fucking IKEA collaboration and buying a carpet and all this sort of shit, it never really happened. And I always wondered, like, I wonder how he felt about that. Having all these quote unquote so-called friends, but none of them actually support what you do. The real love that you do get, which might explain also why he always made time for fans. That's something I have to give Virgil a lot of credit for. He always went out of his way to be like available and open and speaking to fans. Like, he would be DMing with random people like all night long and shit. He'd add or follow random people, including myself, all the time and shit, and be kind of give people props. I think that might be the reason why he did that, because he knew the people around him who were maybe the cool people were kind of a bit choosy and a bit stingy and a bit stush when it came to supporting his actual brand. But the actual fans were the ones that were down for supporting everything and really being loud about it. Like, yeah, I bought this belt, I fucking love it. Like, I can't think of many people, many of his cool friends that had that fucking heart, that safety yellow belt thing. But a lot of us fans from the outside, we wore it. I know I did. I wore mine to death. I think I actually wore mine to the point where it fucking broke. But I don't think a lot of his friends wore it because they thought it was naff, they thought it was corny, they thought it was played out. So it must be a strange place to be in when you have your own brand and you want your friends to support you, but they don't really support you. And then they make it seem like not supporting you is a cool thing to do because wearing your own things is kind of a bit played out. It's like, nah, bro, if I make something and I'm proud of it and I like what it looks like, I'm gonna wear it. I want to be my muse. You know what I mean? I want to be my own muse in the same way that Milo does a really good job with her brand. I think a lot of the reason why her brand is really successful is because she's an inherently cool looking person. She has an inherently cool looking group of people around her as well as a crew. But I think Milo does a really good job because she's really fucking cool herself. So even though the designs and the fashion isn't maybe the most you know, out there thing. She's not really trying to change anything really. It's, you know, it's kind of whatever. I think her being cool, she's kind of got a bit of an aspirational maybe lifestyle and shit. She carries herself in a certain way. I think that is part of the reason why that brand sells. Part of it is because she kind of sells it herself. She wears the shit herself. People want it, and then they purchase it, and Bob's your uncle, Granny's your aunt. So I find the whole like not wearing your own thing to be very, 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 very odd. But again, Tremaine is a very odd dude, so I guess it makes sense. So I guess it makes fucking sense. Moving on, we've got another clip here from the same interview. This is from a roundtable. I'm actually going to react to the whole thing soon on this channel, so definitely keep an eye out for it. I'll definitely do a reaction to the whole roundtable. It featured Corbin Frost, Bloody Osiris, AP Nast, and obviously Tremaine Emory from Denim Tears. So in this particular one, they're talking about Virgil Abloh and his influence and stuff, and why there won't be another one of him, you know, to ever kind of replace him or wherever else it may be. So let's play this clip. This should be a really interesting one. RIP Virgil. Let's fucking go.
Something that doesn't get talked about enough, I think. Just like this society, like post Virgil, almost like within a week of his passing, it was like, all right, who's gonna be the next created? Like I saw it immediately, and what was insane was like, it wasn't just like people in Instagram comments. It's like people who knew him are like on the phone saying, yeah, but who do you think? And I'm just like, yo, this is not Pokemon.
If you ask me, there ain't no feeling, no shoe.
No, it'll never happen again.
And if we get anywhere close to that, it ain't gonna be no time soon.
No.
At least,
No.
I mean, for what I can see right now. It wasn't just like his creative ability. It was more so, for me, the love that he showed. He was one of those guys that he was for the people, you know, like, and he ain't have no pride and ego.
I think that's actually worse to say that. I think it's actually worse to say that there would never be another Virgil, not in a creative sense, but more so in the humane sense. Because I feel like the humanity sense of him is something that could be easily replicable. You could easily replicate somebody just being very nice and being very warm and being very open and being loving and really down to earth, which is what he was. One of the best things about, or one of the silver linings about, one of the things that kind of warmed my heart post Virgil passing, you heard no funny type stories about him and women or guys or anything. No funny type stories. Even though he was immersed in fashion, surrounded himself in all the flipping hottest models in the world and all the hottest fucking IG baddies and that kind of streetwear world, no one said anything funny style about him. He was always a pleasure and a gentleman to deal with, point blank period. That was fucking sick to see. You know, that's probably one of the things that a lot of us would like if we ever did pass anytime soon. You'd want people to speak about you well when you even if you're passed, you want people to speak about you well even when you're not in the room. And I think Virgil was able to achieve that. But I think it's pretty sad indictment on the scene and on the industry that AP Nast is saying that no, it's not the creativity that's not going to be replaced or isn't replicable, it's the humanity. We're in an industry where we're in an industry where it's not normal for somebody like a Virgil to be that nice. So don't expect it again. Don't expect somebody of his level, of his standing, of his clout status to be as personable, down to earth, chill, nice to talk to, a pleasure to deal with, in all that regard. It won't happen again. That's pretty wild, but it's true. Unfortunately, it's true. And that's one of his main strong points. I always said, he was one of those people that and I think they exist in the scene in general, those people that exist in the scene who you like him, but his friends are cocks. Like, he surrounded himself with a lot of people that you probably wouldn't like if you hang out with them individually. But because he vouched for them, everyone kind of had to kind of get along with them and try and make it work. And they were usually on their best behavior around him as well. That also kind of helped. But that was something that I really saw in him, and I thought, you know what, this is what makes you a legend. Because you just, you act regular, you act chill. You're not wrapped up in your own ego. You don't feel like you're too good for people. Because a lot of these guys, they don't really do anything substantial for the world in general. Yes, they're doing cool things what they're doing, but the way that they act, the way that they kind of will big time you and aura you and kind of just stunt on you in public will make you feel really shitty. But Virgil never did that. Even though he trapezed and kind of ascended to the pinnacle of fashion and culture and art and everything else in between, he was always chill, always safe, always able to talk to people, always able to just be approachable and all that malarkey. So it's kind of sad that people are saying that could not be replicated, to be honest. Pretty sad.
And he was the glue to a lot of conflict with motherfuckers and all that. As you can see, soon as he passed, a lot of shit fell up. Everybody
it literally
fell out.
went
It
like
went
that.
You was just seeing people that were fake, like
immediately, just off the
like, it was just crazy.
what they were saying.
All
like,
of that just goes to show what kind of like guy he really was and the impact that he had on all of us.
Yeah.
Like you know, this culture in general, what we call culture, like you know, like he was literally the ring leader.
Some that does.
Yeah, it's true. He was a ringleader and stuff. But again, I think the great example people can make of him and the legacy that we can probably take forward is just to be nice to people. I think that's always the thing that always disappointed me about the industry, and why I probably did take an active step to sort of like step away from the scene and not be involved, because I was quite heavily involved, especially at the time I was working for that small Nike store in Shoreditch, and then, you know, afterwards doing some interning with like 12 Bar and all this malarkey and blah blah blah, the whole retail streetwear sneaker scene thing. I don't need to repeat it, but I think the reason why I actively took a step away was probably around the same time that I had that bad interaction with the founder of Palace when it first started and shit. I remember just thinking to myself, like, why is everyone such a cunt? Why does everyone have to have such a stinky attitude? Why is it you walk into a Bape store and the guy that runs it is being a cunt? The guy that runs Palace at the beginning of this is like year 1, year 2 of the brand. You're trying to have a conversation with him and he's treating you like you're chewing gum on the bottom of his foot. Like, everyone just has a really shitty attitude. And it's like, it didn't make any sense to me, because I was thinking, we're all in this like we're all in this really small niche. Like, there's not many of us, especially in the beginning. There wasn't really many of us. Like, you're making your thing, and it's like it's your friend of friend that's buying the thing. It's not even like you're like worldwide yet. It's people within your little community that are also buying it. Why not just be like cool with the people that are supporting you in the beginning and shit, and just be chill? Nah, it's always this like big ego thing, and it's like walking around like you're fucking God's gift. And I guess it works because in the scene, that kind of like attitude, you usually have people around you that are also trying to like get near you. So the more you treat them bad, the more you're rude, the more you're standoffish, the more you're kind of, you know, curt to them, and, you know, whatever it may be, the more they want you, the more they want to be associated with you. So it does work. I understand why they do it, but I just would rather it not be like that. You know, it doesn't need to be like that. And I think that kind of put me off. So when I remember I made an active decision to like, you know what? I'm not going to do this whole like networking sceney thing. I'm just going to have a regular job. I think that's why I actually did the pivot, because I was working a lot in like the cool, fashiony, streetwear type of world. But then I decided just to make a pivot and just work a regular job. I was like, I'm just going to get a regular startup job, and I'm just going to do that, make my money. And whatever money I make from that, I'm going to pour into my projects on the side, or I'm going to pour into buying the stuff that I'm into. But I'm no longer going to, because before the dream was to like work in a store, work for a brand, work your way up, maybe take over, maybe start your own brand, but you always wanted to be involved, so that when Fashion Week came around, you were at the shows. When showroom season was around, you were at the showrooms, you were at the festivals. You know what I mean? You were kind of just around. But I feel like the best way to do it nowadays, especially with the access to the internet and most of the events that you want to go to, you can buy a ticket to anyway. The best thing to do is just to get yourself a fucking job that pays well, so you can indulge on the things that you like, whether it's developing pictures, whether it's fucking going on holiday all the time. Get a job that pays you well, and just just buy the stuff that you like. Enjoy it yourself at home, or enjoy it with other people that are also into what you're into via Discord, via Reddit forums and shit. But you don't need to like be in it, you know? Because I think sometimes when you're in it and when you're too close, especially fashion, it can make you cynical super fast. Like, you're working as a design assistant for some big brand that you love, and they're paying you like 13 grand a year. After tax, you're getting £800. Your rent is $750. You know, you're gonna fall out of love very quickly with fashion. But if you decide to work for fucking Morrison's or work at Asda's as like a area manager, you get to earn a good salary. Yes, it's not working in fashion, but you still get to make money, and then you get to use that money to buy loads of cool fashion shit to wear, which you can buy to your heart's content. And you also have vacation time. So if you want to go to fucking Paris Fashion Week and see some shows, you can book vacation time and go and attend the fashion shows with money that you earn from your job and have a good life. You don't need to be like always involved and around these fucking lemmings and idiots and have these people that are just insignificant treat you like shit. You don't need to do it. You really don't. It's not necessary. And unfortunately, if you do it too much, these people will eventually turn you bad. They'll make you like, that's what basically happens. I think a lot of the time people have the experiences that I had where you get treated like shit. And then when you finally get put on, or when you finally get your opportunity to shine, or when you finally make it, you then want to make everyone else feel the same way you felt, and you make people feel like shit, and the sort of cycle continues. But I think someone has to break that and be like, you know what, I'm gonna break the cycle, I'm gonna make it a cool scene to hang out with, and maybe do your little, you know, create your little bubble of a scene, your little niche, your little scene within a scene, and then make that sort of like the quote unquote safe space that people can come to and hang out in. Maybe that's the way to go about things. Maybe, who fucking knows? But RIP Virgil Abloh, his legacy continues. And I think people will look back on it and his time and what he did and think, you know what, away from all the design, away from all the cool moments, all this malarkey, I think him as a person, as a human, he seemed like a really good dude. And I think people should take that lesson and apply it to whatever they do in their own life, in my opinion. But I could be wrong. Moving on. Let's talk about my girl, Elsa Majimbo. Elsa Majimbo has broken African Twitter, has broken African Instagram, has broken African social media by saying something that I think a lot of us probably feel, but she said it in a very mean way, and people aren't really liking what she said. And she said that people back home are leeches, are layabouts, are bums, and that she's not sending anyone back home any money because it's her money and it's her fucking money. Let's hear what Elsa Majimbo has to say about this. She's fucking wild.
Sending money back home or to your extended family is such a common African practice that I absolutely hate. I saw my dad doing it, and I don't even know any of my extended family.
I absolutely hate. It's fucking insane. But big up her, big up her.
I saw him doing it with his brothers, with his sisters, with his grandparents, parents, like everyone in the family. As long as you have a job, they expect you to share that money accordingly. And
I find it kind of insane though how she doesn't know any of her dad's siblings. That's a bit weird, isn't it? I don't like, is she doing that on purpose? You think she's like purposely not trying to know them so that they don't ask her for money? Or does she generally not know her dad's family? On her, like, it's a bit strange, isn't it? Like, so you know about your dad sending money back home, but you don't know them on a personal level. Are you trying not to know them? Have you never met them? Are you pretending like you don't know them? What's going on here?
That is just something I will not be participating in. I already knew I would never participate in this.
I already knew. So she didn't even do it once. She just saw it and said, nah, not doing that. Keeping my money.
Like, how do you come and tell me, oh, my kids are starving? Yeah, they're starving because you're fucking lazy. Get off your ass, get a job and feed your kids.
Jesus Christ, bruh. That is so callous and so mean, unnecessary. Yes, there are some people. I think I would have agreed with her in the past. I think when I was younger, living at home, I think I would have agreed with her, because I think when you're younger, living at home and your parents are sending money back to Africa all the time to siblings who you know are clearly scamming your parents and shit, you can sometimes build a sense of contempt for your parents, because you feel like they're getting their wool pulled over their eyes. But when you grow older, when you mature, you realize your parents know they're getting the wool pulled over their eyes, but that's what you do for family. You know, like you just go above and beyond for your family, sometimes to your own detriment. It's kind of one of the curses of family. They can sometimes get away with shit regular people will never get away with it with you, you know? I think that's the main thing. And I also think, as like a weird sort of like side, there's a part of me that thinks as well, similar to like relationships and stuff and having best friends, I think you need people in your life that can do that shit to you like that can maybe take advantage of you, so that it teaches you how to like say no to people that aren't that close to you. You get what I mean? Having the ability to sort of like endure and put up with somebody who's clearly trying to pull the wool over your eyes, who's clearly feigning distress and feigning helplessness because they're just too lazy or don't want to figure out their own way. I think that's a good practice to practice, like just helping people like that out, even if you know they are trying to scam you. There's nothing wrong with that. And I also think if you're lucky enough to figure something out in life, especially with Elsa, from what I remember about her, she's mostly like a comedian, maybe does skits, just a general social media type of person, which is not really something that you can ever plan for or go to school for. It's almost a career that you get by luck. Yes, you put out a lot of content, but you know, you can't really guarantee your success to become a social media influencer full time. It's almost like the audience or the viewers have to choose you. The stars have to align. So if you're that lucky to make that sort of a career, it's almost like a obligation for you to help people, Now that you're lucky enough to make this career that most people will never be able to make, where you can kind of post one square on your feed and get paid thousands or hundreds of money, wherever it may be, it's yours, of course. But with that kind of ability to do that, I think it comes with a certain level of responsibility, especially if you're an African person, to maybe give back. And I feel like sometimes that lack of like care and like whatever love is probably the reason why we're at where we are, you know, as a community of people, right? The lot of friction and the infighting and the violence, all this sort of malarkey maybe comes from this like me and my own shit type of thing. We're not very, you know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of sharing and giving and stuff. It's all like individual, my family, my friends, my this, just solo thing, not a lot of giving. And I feel like in that position, you kind of have to do it. Now, obviously do it to a limit, maybe to, you know, there's always scenarios where maybe you can maybe say no and shit. But I think overall, being open to give people things and share, I think is a good trait to have. I really do think it's a good trait to have. I don't think closing your fist all the time and demanding people do this and that for you to give is really the right way to go about things.
And also there's this one like extended family member of ours, and she used to ask my dad for money, and she texted me and she asks me for money. You've been asking my dad for money since before I was born. I was raised, I grew up. Now you're asking me for money. You lazy son of a bitch. I am not.
It's mad that you think that, isn't it? I always wondered why people who make it think that just because they made it, everyone else can make it too. I've also wondered people that make it, why they think everyone also wants to make it too. Maybe in life, the reason why certain people or only a small percentage of us can make it is because you're meant to also then help the people who can't. That's kind of your role in life. You've kind of been able to make it. You've been blessed. You've been ordained. You've been given that fucking touch. Now you're making it. Your kind of role is also to kind of now give to others, you know? And if you don't do that, then what's the point? Like, you might as well just go work a regular job. You kind of been given this really amazing lifestyle, this amazing career trajectory, or this amazing career path that you can then now use whatever you have to help loads of people because you're getting an abundance of things coming to you. And I feel like if it was me, there's a limit to how much stuff you can buy, a limit to how many experiences you can have. You're only one person. But having the ability to help people genuinely with the money that you get from these sort of things, especially when you're African, is really, really cool. Honestly, it's really cool. Like, I don't know, setting up fucking, I don't know, studios in your home country, setting up fucking, you know, academies to teach people how to maybe get started as being an influencer or a social media person, whatever it may be. All these things were really fucking cool instead of like stunting on and shitting on people back home because they weren't fortunate enough to make it the way you made it. Because sometimes, I remember back in the day, I used to think a little bit like this. I used to think, oh, why aren't you helping yourself? But sometimes people just don't know how to. Maybe there's also the scenario where in some countries in Africa, maybe there's just not the jobs that you think they have. Maybe it's not through lack of effort. Maybe these people are trying to get on their own feet. I don't think most people enjoy having their hand out and waiting for handouts. I don't think they enjoy it. They do it because it's a last resort and they have to eat and they have to provide for themselves, provide for their family. So if there's somebody around there that can help, of course they're going to put their hand out and say, hey, can you help me? And if you've got something and you can give, why not give it? Give it freely. Give it without, you know, expectation. Give it without fucking expecting to get paid back. I don't think that's a bad thing. And I think genuinely, considering how poor some African countries are, there's definitely, I think, a scenario where some of these people back home genuinely either can't get jobs or the jobs that they can get don't pay enough to actually support or cover all their needs. And if they have a family member who lives in Europe who's doing really well for themselves and has figured it out, why shouldn't they ask for some of your money? Why shouldn't they ask for you to help them out? Why wouldn't they do that? Wouldn't you want someone to do that for you if you're in that same position? I don't know. It almost feels like that kind of pull yourself up by your bootstrap thing. And I've always wondered, like, I've always wanted to ask somebody, like, why is it when people make it, they almost, it's not as if they become humble. Like, I would imagine, like, if you made it in a very highly contested, highly competitive, cutthroat niche or sector, and you were one of the ones to make it, and it's like really hard to make it, whatever field, I don't know, something can't come to mind. I would imagine that it would make you humble, or it would make you appreciative that you did make it. and it will then make you way more open and giving to people because you knew how hard it was for you. So if you can ease somebody else's pain, if you can help them along the way, you're just going to do it because you know how hard it was for you. But if anything, it has the opposite effect, it feels like. It feels like when people, especially influencers or social media people, make it, they become super resentful of people that don't make it. Like, it's almost like they're judging you. Like, oh, I did it. It's the internet. It's easy. Why can't you just do it for yourself? It's like, bro, it's not really isn't that easy. It's not, you know, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it. You did it. You were quote unquote lucky to do it. Yes, your hard work and your effort kind of paved the way, but you did it, fair enough. But now you've did it. Like, you can kind of help some of us. Maybe leave the door slightly ajar. Maybe put us in touch with certain people. Maybe, you know, fund a few things here and there. That's kind of cool. But for some reason, someone like her, like, she seems to be really angry. It almost seems to like piss her off. That now she's in the position where she's made it and she's shining. She's covering herself in loads of fucking moisturizer and looking like a literal statue, right? Because of course, it's part of, like, you know, doing well is living and looking and feeling good. So she's sharing pictures of herself online with these amazing outfits, having fun, traveling the world, having a good time. And people think, oh, you're doing well. Maybe you're with your wellness, you can maybe help me out. And then she gets pissed off when they fucking reach out. She gets annoyed. Like, don't you dare recognize that I'm doing well and then ask me to help you. Don't you dare. Just double tap and keep it moving. It's like, what? So weird. Yeah, big up 730. She's flexing on poor Africans watching how much product she's using. Exactly. And you know what's funny as well? She's flexing on poor Africans who are most likely playing a part in making the product that she's making. And they're probably making the product she's making for fucking slave labor fucking rates. That's the irony of it. Big up Fashion Roadman. Wagwan, my guy. Not being wealthy doesn't make someone lazy. It's just such a brain dead take. Exactly. Our poor farm workers in Africa countries lazy, toiling away in the sourcing sun. Exactly. In the scorching sun. Exactly. And I think I feel like this is a mentality that only happens when people, is it newly rich? I don't know what it is. When you're newly actualized, when you finally made it. I feel like for some reason it breaks people's brains. It almost makes them feel like, oh, I knew it. It was easy. See, everyone else is not doing it because they're lazy. It's like, or haven't you realized that it's not really an exact science? It's maybe based on who you know, timing, luck, all these things play into it. So it should maybe make you a little bit more humble and very, very appreciative of what you've got, but also make you kind of steadfast in your need to kind of help people. Maybe, I don't know. 730, she's being scammed by random beauty product companies. She can't afford it. Exactly. Big up Chris Mack. People who make it have an odd tendency to not realize that probably wasn't just hard work and dedication that got them there to the top. It's often due to a combo of luck and exactly, luck and circumstance. Exactly. You'd think that luck and circumstance would make you a little bit more appreciative and now have a lot more humility about what you have and then want to kind of give back to people. And I don't know, maybe not.
Not fitting your habits. Clearly you're too lazy to be alive. I will let you starve. The fuck?
You're too lazy to be alive. I would let you starve. One more time. That is so unnecessarily rude. Wow.
Not fitting your habits. Clearly you're too lazy to be alive. I will let you starve. The fuck?
Fucking hell. The contempt, the resentment is fucking crazy. And life has a really crazy habit of humbling you, right? Life has a really crazy habit, and I don't like that whole thing people do where it's like, oh, life will humble you. You shouldn't have to learn that way. You shouldn't have to lose things and become broke and, you know, get cheated on or get scammed for you to finally learn how to treat people with respect and dignity. You should be able to, have compassion for people just off the strength of them being another human being just like you. But I feel like this level of contempt is just a bit unnecessary, just a bit too much, especially for people who live in places where legitimately their circumstances, their surroundings dictate what level of success they have or don't have. We live in Western Europe. Most of us live in, in Western Europe and stuff, or, you know, in places in the Western Hemisphere, and we get to dictate our surroundings. Essentially, we get to kind of be the masters of our own destiny and kind of, you know, kind of charge forward in our own path. But some people in the world don't get that choice. whatever's around them, they have to fucking use to their liking or use to their needs and shit. But the circumstances in the world around them dictates what they can and cannot have. They are basically, you know, have no way else to kind of go and to choose from. So to be that dismissive and to be that close-fisted with people like that is kind of dark. It's kind of dark. It's kind of fucking dark, especially when you're just a social media influencer. If you're somebody that legitimately started your own fucking company and you took it from 1 employee to like 60,000, different sort of conversation. But when you just, you know, you lucked out and became a fashion influencer or a social media influencer, and you've now got this like highfalutin opinion of yourself that you're better than people and you're above helping them and they need to just help themselves, it's like, bruh, like you kind of lucked out in your career. Like use some of that luck and, you know, bless other people with that kind of luck, that kind of stardust luck that you have. And who knows, maybe giving back and blessing people might actually go in a long way to bless you. Maybe it might go a long way to bless you. You never fucking know. But big up Elsa Majimbo. She's going through it. I'm sure she's going to make another video apologizing or trying to explain or doubling down what she's got to say. But I feel her in a little bit. I feel her in some respects. I understand when you're doing your own thing and people are just asking you for things can be annoying. But I also think that's kind of the price of success, you know? You kind of get to live this life that most people don't get to live. And with that success comes the, I won't say an obligation, but it's basically an obligation to help people where you can. I think that's also a part of the process. You shouldn't be avoiding that or only choosing to do the things that you want to do, you know, when it comes to success, which comes just to enjoying the money and enjoying the trappings of success, but not being willing to give back to people. I think that's really fucking dark-hearted, spirited, and all of those things in between, personally. But I could be wrong, Moving on with that, we have to talk a little bit about Man United. I'm really pissed off about this news, but not surprised. Luke Shaw is injured. Luke Shaw won't be available for the first game of the season. He already got injured pre-season. Not even during the pre-season. He got injured pre-season. He went with England to the Euros, even though he was injured. Didn't play any of the group matches. Played in the flipping, you know, knockout stages. Didn't really pull up any trees. Wasn't really that impressive or that necessary. I think Gareth Southgate kind of wasted the space taking him there, in my personal opinion. But regardless, he played. And then he comes back to United, where he earns his, you know, daily or his, you know, his day-to-day bread and butter. And now he's injured and not available to be played. And I think in general, I've just had enough. I've had enough of him for a long time, but I just think nearly 10 years or so at the club, he's never really fulfilled his potential. Maybe the injury played a huge part in him not fulfilling it, but now I don't really give a fuck. The leg break has been a long ago. He's never really achieved or come close to achieving the levels that he was at pre-leg break. His attacking abilities or tendencies are very much waned. His main strength nowadays is recovery pace and defending. I think you can find that with other players, and considering that the way that we play now, especially building up from the back, we need to have fullbacks that can get up and down that line, that can receive the ball in tight areas, that can maybe tuck in when need be, and more importantly, can be available for selection. So if you have a player, especially a senior player like Luke Shaw, that's not available for selection, that isn't reliable, I'd much rather just get rid and get somebody that can play. And the problem we have at the moment, for some reason, that left back position is kind of cursed. Malacia has just recently come back from a long spell of injury that's been unspecified. We don't know if he was going through some mental health thing or if he actually was going through an injury, but he was out for the majority of last season. Now we just signed this Missouri kid from Bayern Munich, who I don't know much about, but allegedly he has a bit of a spotty, injury record also. So we have a lot of players in that particular position who maybe haven't played a bunch of games due to off the field issues or just injuries. So if anything, I would much rather we go out and try and get somebody who we can rely on week in, week out to play as left back, because at the moment Luke Shaw isn't that guy. And I feel like he's getting a lot of like, people kind of turn a blind eye to Luke Shaw's injury record because he's English and because he's white. I feel like if Luke Shaw was black or if Luke Shaw was a foreigner, he'd be getting way more hassle from the press and criticism in general. But people don't say anything about him because, you know, he's an English fucking darling. But it's fucking annoying. He's never available. He's always consistently injured. And he always does this really cheeky thing that he does every season where he'll have a good run of games. He'll remind everybody why people rate him very highly. He'll get a new contract that will keep him at the club and once more for a long time, and then he'll get injured soon after. It's almost like a guaranteed thing. So at the moment, I think he's like 29 or something. Most likely with the wages he's on, we're not going to be able to sell him. So most likely he's going to have to run out his contract, or we're going to have to cancel his contract in some respect. I would like the contract to get cancelled. Personally, I would like it to get cancelled because I've had enough of Luke Shaw. Then the other Man United news, which I'm not happy with, but it is what it is. Bruno Fernandes has signed a new deal until 2027, contract extension. No surprise really, because he is our most important player. But I just get annoyed with Bruno Fernandes because, you know, he's not really my kind of number 10, number 8 midfielder anyway. I don't like the way that he's so wasteful in possession. I don't like the way that he doesn't really control or really look after the ball. There's a lot of balls over the tops and flicks and, you know, long balls and shit. It's all kind of very, very sporadic and fast and not very controlled. I'm not really a big fan of that in the slightest. And I don't think he really influences the big games in the way that he probably should. But the thing that I don't like the most about Bruno Fernandes' tenure at Man United is that we've never signed a player who can really compete for that starting position as a free roaming number 10 or whatever that it is that he plays. I think with that, we will get the best version of Bruno Fernandes. I think at the moment, he's too comfortable. Last season was a good example. He played basically every single game when fit. He was never subbed or anything and never dropped. And I think that isn't a good way to sort of handle the squad. Even if he is the best player in our team, I feel like every player in the team should feel like their position's under threat. They should feel like if they don't perform and somebody else performs in their place, they're going to stay out of the team. It shouldn't be just, oh, because you're this person, you have this name, you play all the time. It should be based, it should be a meritocracy basically, but it's not. Most of our positions aren't merit-based. Some of it's branding, agents, whatever's going on. So I would like going forward now to, it's not going to happen obviously this transfer window, I don't think so, even though we still need that play in that position. I would like to see that happen. If that doesn't happen, I would like to see us come into the new season and give Christian Eriksen, who's still at the club for whatever reason, I would like to see Christian Eriksen rotated with Bruno Fernandes in that position that they're in, because I think we saw in the Euros, again, European football, international football is different from Premier League, I understand that, or club football. But we did see Christian Eriksen play pretty decently for Denmark during the Euros. And he played pretty decently for them because he wasn't asked to do a million things and track back and cover loads of space that he does with United, especially now his legs are gone. He was asked to basically, you know, bomb into the box late, find passes around the box, shoot from outside the box, that area of the pitch that Bruno also occupies. So if we're not going to sign somebody to add competition for places in the squad and push Bruno Fernandes for his position in the team, I would much rather we then give people who can play that position in the squad a chance to play in that position if Bruno's playing badly. So if Bruno's playing badly one game, I would like the sub not to be to take off Maino and replace him with Eriksen. I'd like the sub to be Eriksen to replace Bruno. You know, like that change of a game. Okay, cool. This number 10 didn't work. Let's try another one. Instead of just what we usually do, if Bruno isn't playing well, we just keep him on the pitch, move him to the side and get someone else to play in alongside him and then kind of just fill the pitch with like good players and hope something happens. I don't want that. I want it to be competition from places and I want everyone to feel like they have to perform at their highest level. If not, they don't play. That's what I would like to see, but I could be wrong. Let's continue with the article. It says Man United captain Bruno Fernandes has signed a new contract until summer 2027. Fernandes, who joined the club in January 2020 from Sporting Lisbon in a 68 million deal, had 2 years left on his previous contract, which he signed in 2022. In the first 4.5 years at Old Trafford, the Portuguese international has made 234 appearances in all competitions, scoring 79 goals and providing 67 assists. The 29-year-old has won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup under Erik ten Hag and reached the FA Cup Europa League final under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There has been speculation that Fernandes could leave in the summer, but he said in May he wanted to stay at the club. The news Fernandes' contract extension has also further boosted Ten Hag as he prepares for the Premier League games coming up. So there he is, signed until 2027. I personally would rather we moved on and signed somebody else, but that's never going to happen. So if that's the case, let's actually add some competition to push him so he performs at his best, and that will obviously help the team. You would hope so. You would hope so. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. And then the last thing I want to mention before I leave is regarding Man United's kits. Have you seen Man United's training kits? Some of their warm-up kits that they have. When these things hit fucking Temu, AliExpress, DHgate, I'm on it like Sonic. Because personally, I don't believe in giving the Glazers money. I hate the Glazers, our current owners, even though they've got a new sporting fucking side of things with Ineos. I want rid of the Glazers completely. And I would never give them any money. So I'm not buying any official merch. All that malarkey, I'm not doing it. So if I'm going to buy club merchandise, I'm going to buy it through replica factories. I'm going to buy it through the whole Fugazi factories over there in China. So the moment those rep factories charge up and fucking put the key in ignition on for their machines and start producing some of these tracks jackets, like this particular one here, this retro Adidas track inspired jacket thing, I'm on it like Sonic, because some of this gear, some of this merchandise, like the shorts over here, are fucking so good. Like, I want everything from this collection. That t-shirt here, this retro inspired t-shirt, like, look at that. That is gorgeous, bro. But obviously, you know, I don't want to give the Glazers money. The current stuff on this actual website is too much. And I'm waiting for the rep factories to get them in, because I'm sure I'll be able to get the entire set for like £50 or something once it gets done. But look at that set together. Man United Originals tracksuit and the bottoms. That retro inspired design. It's so fucking cool. I want everything from it. There's one that comes with just a track jacket with the zip. And there's also one that comes with the hood. That looks pretty cool. You got obviously the socks, you got the hat, you got the new kit, you got the pants. But yeah, I need those tracksuits. I need those tracksuits ASAP, and I hope they release very, very soon. Hope they release very, very, very soon. Anyways, my friends, that has been it for the Agostino Zing Show episode number 805. I'll be back again for another episode very, very soon. But for now, thank you for tuning into the show. Make sure you like the show down below if you've enjoyed it. Press the like button down below if you enjoyed the show. That'd be greatly appreciated. For my tune of the day today, I will be playing the one and only Asake. Asake's got a new album out at the moment. It's called, is it Lungo? Yeah, Lungo Boy. It's fucking banging. I'm going to be playing my favorite track from this particular album as my outro for the audio listeners only. I'm not going to play it on YouTube because YouTube is lame and they're going to block my video and add loads of fucking shit to it and stuff, and you'll be able to see it. But if you want to listen to my tune today, my tune today is courtesy of Asake, courtesy of his recent album called Lungo Boy, and it is the track called Skating, which is track number 8. Check it out. It legitimately is one of my favorite tracks. I've been playing it on loop, on repeat since this album fucking dropped. It's a fucking banger. That's my tune today. For those of you listening to the audio side of the podcast, please leave me a 5-star review on the podcast platforms that you listen to, Overcast, Apple, Spotify, all that malarkey. Make sure you leave me a 5-star review. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you want any links or any funny links to myself, also stories I spoke about, click the description. You'll be able to see them down below. And there's also a contact link there for me too, if you want to contact me via email and all that malarkey in between. Thank you for tuning into the Agostino Zinga Show. It's been a pleasure to have your company, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Take care, my friends. Be well. Peace.